There are two types of people in this world: those that have learned the lesson of life and those that are still learning it. You fall into one of these categories. So, which one is it? Well, I'll leave that for you to decide. But I will share with you a story today about someone who had the opportunity to be wealthy but chose not to because he was blinded by short-term gain. In 1968, an environmental engineer named Tom bought a piece of land. He knew the location very well because it was where he used to go fishing as a child. He loved the outdoors, so when he found out the piece of land was for sale, he didn't hesitate. He purchased 72 acres of land in the Catskill Mountains. At the time, he paid around $3,000. For the next few years, Tom enjoyed the land as a getaway spot. But then something happened that changed everything. In 1978, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation reached out to him. They said they needed part of his land to build a reservoir. They were willing to pay him $14,000 per acre, which meant he would get $1 million for his 72 acres. That was huge. But Tom had no idea what to do. On the one hand, he had worked hard for many years to buy this land, and now, all of a sudden, some government officials wanted to take it from him without his permission. He took the offer back to the drawing board. This time, he asked for more. The State Department turned down his request. And this continued until finally the state offered him $2,000 per acre, totaling $144,000. This was still a lot of money, but at this point, Tom had been using the land as his private getaway for the past 10 years. It wasn't enough. He went back again and forth and back until finally he got the amount he was happy with, $1,000 per acre, which brought the total to around $720,000. Tom signed the deal and pocketed the check. Then he drove to the city and deposited it into his bank account. From there, he started making investments and building businesses. Within a few years, he was worth tens of millions of dollars. But here's where things get interesting. Tom didn't keep any of that money. In fact, he spent every last bit of it and then some. And now he lives in a small one-bedroom apartment. He has no money left. You see, Tom did eventually realize that selling the land was a mistake. But once he made the decision, he stuck to it. He could have kept the land and still made a lot of money. In fact, he could have built homes on the land or started some sort of business and earned millions over the years. Instead, he let his emotions get the best of him. When the state first approached him, he was angry and felt like they were taking advantage of him. But then he realized that maybe he had something they wanted, and that was power. He could use this power to get even more than what he originally paid. And that's exactly what he did. He ended up making more than double his money, which should have made him happy. After all, he made a great deal, but it didn't make him happy. Why? Because he wasn't satisfied with the deal he had made. Instead, he wanted more, and that's when his greed took over. He ended up making 7 times what he had initially paid for the land. But that still wasn't enough. If he had just been happy with his initial profit, he wouldn't have lost everything. So how did he lose all his money? Well, after getting the payment from the state, Tom was on cloud 9. He felt like he was invincible. Nothing could stop him from being successful. He invested his money in stocks, bonds, real estate, and even started a few businesses. At first, everything was going well. His investments were paying off and his businesses were making money. But then, the market crashed and his investments started to lose value. His businesses also started to struggle. And before he knew it, he was in debt. Tom was devastated. He had lost everything. But instead of learning from his mistakes, he made them worse. He started to blame others for his losses. He blamed the stock market, the economy, and even the government. He refused to take responsibility for his actions, and that's why he never recovered. Now let's think about what could have been. Let's say Tom was happy with his initial profit and decided to keep the land. Well, according to Zillow, the land is now worth over $15 million. If Tom had just kept the land, he would have been a millionaire. He could have lived in his small town and enjoyed his life, or he could have moved to a bigger house in the city and still had plenty of money left over. The choice was his, but he chose to be greedy and he paid the price. Now, I don't know about you, but I think Tom's story is a valuable lesson for us all. We live in a world where it's easy to get caught up in the moment and make decisions we'll later regret. We have to be careful not to let our emotions get the best of us. We all want to make a lot of money, and that's not a bad thing. But we also need to be satisfied with what we have. If we're always greedy and want more, we may end up losing it all. I know that might sound like a cliché life lesson, but it's true. Tom had the opportunity to be wealthy for the rest of his life, but he chose not to. He was blinded by short-term gain and ended up losing everything in the long run. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't take risks or try to make a lot of money. I'm just saying that we need to be careful. We need to make sure that we're happy with what we have and not just constantly trying to get more and more. If we do that, we may end up like Tom, broke and living in a small apartment when we could have been millionaires. Now, I'm curious what you think. Do you think Tom made the right decision by selling the land? Or do you think he should have just been happy with what he had? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about financial tips and tricks, stay tuned, because I'm just getting started. Now, I know you're probably thinking that you can't be like Warren Buffett or one of those other rich people, but that's not true. You can be whatever you want if you set your mind to it. It just takes a little bit of knowledge and a lot of hard work. But if you stick with it, you'll eventually get there. I'm proof of that. I used to be just like you. I didn't know anything about investing or making money, but now I'm making more money than I ever thought possible. And so can you. It all starts with just a little bit of knowledge. Once you have that, the possibilities are really endless. You can make as much money as you want. All you need is the desire to learn and the willingness to put in the effort. If you have those two things, trust me, you can be successful. So don't give up on your dreams. Keep pushing forward and eventually you'll get there. I promise you that. As for me, I'm going to keep working hard and hopefully one day soon I'll be able to retire and enjoy my life. But even if that doesn't happen, it's okay because I'll still be happy as long as I'm making progress. So remember, never give up on your dreams. No matter how hard things get, just keep moving forward and eventually you'll be successful. Just believe in yourself and never stop trying. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any new videos. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.